Mr. Raju, with the growing crisis in the Middle East, the emergence of ISIS and the threat of global terrorism, are you afraid that it will have a spillover effect into South Asia, and how is India handling this problem?
The growth of ISIS, definitely its ideology can spread to any corner of the world, and I think that's why it's important that it is curbed as quickly as possible. I'm sure the ideology, the extreme ideology that they portend, that can carry a resonance and have an impact on India's borders too. But we are definitely safeguarding ourselves. But I think it's a more imminent threat to Europe, and I think that's the present concern.
India is now trying to look east, establishing growing relations with the ASEAN countries or the Asia region in general. In your opinion, how does ASEAN or the Asia region, fit into India's economic cooperation or political or security cooperation going forward?
We've followed a look east policy since the 90s, and right now the focus is more on economic cooperation with the ASEAN, especially since that's where the real growth is happening. And I think it is important to integrate physically through better infrastructure and connectivity, and step up the trade between countries. But as you are aware, there are also security issues related to the South China Sea. We are very conscious of it. We have traditionally followed a non-aligned policy in safeguarding our own interests. We definitely would like to see free lanes of communication in the South China Sea.
Will you send troops to participate in any movements, in the South China Sea?
We've always been doing bilateral exercises with countries, but at the same time, whatever exercises we've done, we do not want to send out a signal that we're inimical to anybody. But we are a forceful advocate towards free lanes of communication in the South China Sea.
Your country has 1.2 billion population. China also has a similar size of population, but then China appears to be moving ahead, economically at least, with its One Belt, One Road project. Will India come up with a similar grand vision or project that will link India and other parts of the world, similar to at least One Belt, One Road, or the US is moving toward the TPP, Trans-Pacific Partnership deal?
Now, we have been quite focused on infrastructure and the importance of infrastructure, especially connectivity to the southeast, from the northeastern states of India towards the southeast of Asia. And we had consciously advocated, and we are focusing on connectivity with Myanmar and down to the countries beyond Myanmar. And we will definitely work on it. Not only that, we've always advocated a ports corridor also, the inland waterways corridor with the southeast. And we will definitely focus on that.
So it will complement the One Belt, One Road project of China?
I think the important aspect is to build better connectivity to the ASEAN nations, and that's what we are focused on.
What are some of the economic or political challenges facing India? How can you keep the growth momentum going in order to create jobs and also to modernize, the Indian economy?
India has grown to be a services economy, and the majority of the growth is coming from information technology, the knowledge industry. What has been suffering has been our manufacturing, and for the last 2 years, because of the drought in the country, we've been having severe challenges. We are focusing on improving infrastructure. We are trying to gather our efficiencies in the manufacture sector, because I think it needs to complement what we already have in terms of the services sector and the knowledge economy. So we are doing our best, but the challenges are, I think we need to relax our labor laws and make the investment more cost effective.
But since the Modi government has come to power, do you think that it has the mandate, from the people, in order to initiate this difficult task of structural reform?
I think it was to their advantage that after 30 years they had got an absolute majority. But I think the important thing is to carry the opposition parties and the other parties along in the task ahead for the nation. And I think that's where the current government is having some shortcomings, and they need to address that.
Do you think that they will succeed in the future?
I hope that they will succeed for the benefit of the nation. But it also much depends on their approach in involving the opposition and the other coalition parties.
And finally, the Indian economy remains more internally focused, relying more on domestic consumption. Do you think that going forward, the ratio of exports will be higher, in helping to develop the Indian economy?
We definitely need to give a better export thrust. But while the Indian economy is such a large economy, and therefore there is a lot of focus on internal consumption, there definitely is a need for better exports, which we are doing already in the services sector, in the information technology sector, in the knowledge economy sector. But I think we need to pick up on the manufacturing sector and the other areas.
And this will come with liberalization initiatives.
Liberalization has happened to a great extent, but I think it depends on the efficiencies that we pick up in these respective sectors.
Thank you very much for your comment.
Thank you.